What's good, everyone? This is Dev the Coolest.
And this is JB. And welcome to SlickTalk.
Hey, with a hashtag.
Hashtag SlickTalk.
It lit.
Right?
It lit with a hashtag. It lit. Welcome back, y'all. Hope y'all having a great week. Had a great week. We're happy to see y'all again, talk to you all again, and just be in this present space of 2021 and everything that is bringing thus far.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are definitely happy to be back with you guys. We're happy to bring you another dope-ass episode. Yeah. In this episode, we have a very, 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 very special guest.
Yes.
He goes by the name of EliasTheFirstt. He's a very good friend of mine. We've been friends for a while now. I can't think of how many years, but it's been quite some years. He's also a creative as well. He has his own show right now currently on YouTube. It's called Drink and Dish. I also was a guest on that show.
Yes.
But so I'm definitely happy to have you here. Let's give Elias a welcome.
Yay! Hey, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this. Like, y'all are definitely one of my favorite podcasts because that's all I do when I work is listen to podcasts. So, like, y'all are like golden. So, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
But now, look, y'all got to get into that episode with JB and EliasTheFirstt on it. I said, oh, they nasty.
That wasn't even the deepest we could go. Okay, let's be clear.
Let me be clear. That's not even the deepest we can go. Oh right. No, I know.
It was a really, really good episode. It was, just to give you guys some context, not too much, but it was a sex episode. So go ahead and, after this, tune into that on Elias's YouTube page and let us know what you think.
Yes, it was a great episode, and you are a wonderful guest to have on there for that. As you know, I like to talk about sex. Sex is my shit. So
come on, man. Well, we're gonna have you back for another one of those topics. But in the meantime, Dev, what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking, as I'm gonna just clarify, do we all classify as queer men on the show today?
Yep.
Okay, so we're talking about something that's specific within our queer experience with regard to dating, and it can be seen as a preference, but it's kind of like a fucked up preference. And we're talking about, I guess we're titling this "No Fats, No Fems." Yeah, right. So we're going to get more into that as we go, but that is what we're going to be getting into, and why maybe we think the way that we do, in at least in the cis male community, or maybe in the LGBT community overall. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. No fats, no fems.
No, absolutely. So just also to piggyback off of that, that is going to be the main premise of the show, is talking about the quote unquote preference of no fats, no fems. But we're also going to kind of talk about some other things that are preferences in our community that kind of, in a sense, we possibly feel a certain type of way of, or, raise our eyebrows when we hear them. And, and that's including the no fats, no fems.
Or fell victim to, right?
Exactly.
In our overall experience, that we may have been like, oh, well, that's what I want too.
Exactly. So it's going to be a dope ass conversation, but I'll go first. I'll go ahead and ask you guys, one of the questions that I've come up with, and see what you guys' answers is. My first question that I have is, do you think these type of feelings, like the no fats, no fem, first of all, actually, let me stop. Let me pause. Let me wrap around. So just to give actually the conversation a little context, where this whole judgment, if you will, comes from a lot in our community, in the LGBTQ community, plus community, is we find this a lot on the apps. So there's a lot of dating apps out there. Like, I'm not sure who are all the listeners listening right now, if you've never heard of, there's some gay dating apps called Grindr and Jack. And a lot of us in this community run into this type of rhetoric on those type of apps. Also, we run into it on Twitter and, Instagram and Facebook, like it's on covering all social media. So just to give context on like where we even find this type of preferences from and where we run into these type of preferences is usually on like these dating apps and, social media sites and stuff like that. So just to get that out the way, to give people a little context, my first question is, do you think these type of feelings and judgments are exclusive to a specific race or ethnicity? Like one race has it more than the other. And what I mean by that is, do you believe that these type of like the no fats, no femmes, a lot of people saying, oh, I'm not interested in fats or I'm not interested in femmes. Do you think that's more exclusive to a specific race of people in our community? Or do you think that it's like a blanket thing, like all different type of races do it, all different type of people do it? Like, what do you think, Elias?
I think it is a blanket. Like, I think it's not to one specific community. From my time in the dating pool and all that, like I've seen it. Like, and I feel like the reason why it's a blanket is because, in a way, that thought process of no fats or no femmes is almost a heteronormative like thing, and that, unfortunately, for a lot of gays, is like that's how we first start seeing sexuality, is through a heteronormative, lens, So I don't think it's just strictly a Black thing or a white thing. I think it is a human thing, period. And that's just based on what society's standards of beauty is supposed to be, or what people say is okay and not okay. And, it just goes from there.
Absolutely. Well said. What about you, Dev?
And I totally agree with that. Like, I think that it's definitely the basis of why a lot of people in the gay community think the way they do with regard to dating and what they find attractive, right? Also, with that, you don't want to be seen as gay in a heteronormative world. So you want to attract someone that can be perceived as hetero when you're out in the world. Not necessarily saying that being plus size doesn't equate to being hetero, but being femme does. If you're femme, then you're like, oh, that's gay as fuck. Like, I don't want to be associated with that because I'm already dealing with the struggles of being a queer person. That's not an excuse, but early on in my gay experience, that is maybe why I didn't want to date someone that was femme, because I'm already trying to maneuver through this situation and be accepted as it is. So I don't want you to be next to me and it's like, oh, that's the woman in a relationship, which is crazy to say. But yes, I agree with what Elias said, and also with that, what I just said.
No, absolutely. And I mean, my take on it definitely is that, yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I mean, as someone who is 34 years old now, like I've experienced it from all different types of people, being on the apps, years prior, being on the apps, I've experienced people, telling me personally like, oh, you're a little too big. You know what I'm saying? And I've never thought that I was too big. I thought that I was like thick, whatever case may be. Like, I thought I was just a thick dude. I never thought that I was like technically fat. But also, I think it's important to note, and then Dev can ask the next question. It's important to note that I personally believe that a lot of these judgments are very, very superficial, coming from a superficial place. Because when somebody calls me fat, it's not that I'm ashamed of taking on that role, because, fat people and big people and all different type of people are dope as fuck, no matter what size you are. It's just kind of like, okay, so am I really fat? Do I fit into that category? It makes me just think like, do I fit into that category actually? Or are you just putting that on me because I'm a little overweight, and what you deem to be attractive and a normal size is like pencil thin with like abs and chest and everything like that. So it does have me think, like, throughout time, it has me thinking like, oh my God, y'all trying to put this blanket on me, and even femininity. Like, I do have aspects of my personal life of being feminine. And when somebody says, oh, you're a little too, feminine to me, I'm like, that's fine. I take it with a grain of salt though, because it's just like, who is anyone else to to tell me who I am, especially if I don't even know them. So,
right.
Yeah.
So I guess my question then would be for both of you guys, and I'll answer too. What is fat and what is femme?
Mm-hmm.
In your minds, I guess, in our experiences, what would classify as fat and what would classify as femme?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I'll say for me, in my experience, fat is anyone who doesn't look like a model. Like, to be honest, and this is why I say it ties into that heteronormative like viewpoint, because growing up, we look at what the magazine covers say is beauty, what size, whether it's a male or a female. You see men's magazines. Every guy in men's magazine has, washboard abs, cut. If you look at a lot of the entertainers that we may have grew up on, like an Usher or whatever, they're, cut, fit. So if you don't have that six pack as a male, you're fat.
Yeah.
Like me, like people look at me and I am small because I have a gut. I'm instantly in the fat category, instantly.
Well,
and then like, yeah, huh?
Oh no, not to cut you off. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was saying, and then like for the femme thing, I feel like the femme thing, that definition really depends on the person. But if we were to try to generalize like femme traits or qualities, I guess would be, if you are a little soft-spoken, if, there might be a slight switch in your walk, or the way you even dress. If you dress too nice, it can be taken as feminine. If you speak too eloquently, it's taken as feminine. Like if you aren't some hood-ass nigga, with pants sagging down to your ankles, do-rag all the time, tatted up, whatever it is, mouthful of gold or whatever, you aren't, for a lot of people, you aren't masculine. You're femme, because like, and me, I consider myself just an average everyday black man, but to a lot of people, I'm too soft or too femme. I'm femme in their eyes and category. And I just think that's a lot of bullshit, because you shouldn't categorize. Like, you shouldn't be able to like put these people in a box. Who are you to say what is and what isn't? And shit like that just bothers me.
No,
I keep going.
But yeah, I think you actually said a lot, and I do want to double back on some of the stuff that you said, and then I'll answer the question, or Dev can go next. One of the things that you did mention was that you're fat unless you're anything that's not a model. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said anything that is not a model is considered fat. That's not necessarily a personal belief of yourself. You're saying that's basically something that society holds over our community.
Exactly.
So my question for that would be is, what would you consider fat? What would you consider fat? Yeah.
For me, fat is when you get into the lines of obesity, when it's unhealthy. For me personally, because I have dated people of all shapes and sizes. I've dated what we consider twinks, and I've dated what we've considered bears in our community. So I've dated, but for me, if you were to say what's too fat or too big, when you get obese, when you are on TLC with My 600-Pound Life, like that's a little much. I'm going to be real. I'm keeping honest, but for me, that I guess we say would be where it just goes. It's gone too far. I don't know.
I feel that. And then the last thing on that is that you also said something about like, if you're not like, pretty much over masculine, like hyper masculine, and you're sagging your pants and everything like that. I personally believe that that's something that's very exclusive to the Black community. It's like, I see a lot of like white men and like other ethnicities get away with speaking soft, or like moving soft, or doing things that, would in our community deem to be feminine. but they get a pass from a lot of our community and just in society in general for just being, soft, or they get a pass for being square, or whatever the case may be. And it's never to the extreme of like, oh, that dude is feminine. You know what I'm saying? And then also the last thing I would say is that maybe we need to, when it comes to it, I know this is jumping ahead, but maybe we as a community can start, overturning this word and changing the trajectory of this word feminine, and stop looking at it as just necessarily being something bad, So, change the outcome of it. But what about you, Deb? How do you feel?
No, especially with that last point, like, I don't understand why femininity is seen as a bad thing. Like, does it make you seem less than? Does it make you seem less, like, more weak? Like, what does femininity mean? Yeah. Right? Like, I do think that in the gay world, that feminine is like carrying a purse, switching down the street, voguing, which are all things that I see in a certain way as powerful. Because you have to be powerful to be able in this life to be able to walk and hold your head high and be your authentic self in that space, right?
Powerful and courageous.
Yes, absolutely. And just to quickly answer my own question, my definition of that has grown since I first came into the scene, right? And Fem has grown since I came into the scene. So I came out when I was 16. That's when I first started to mess around, explore, do everything. And that's 14 years ago, or almost 15 years ago at this point. When I first started, we talked about this already, but I was like, I need a dude that is hyper masculine, that has a six pack down, that no one would ever be able to know anything. But now, like, as I've gotten older, like, I've done the work to realize that that is just something that has just been programmed in what I've seen in culture. When we look at the D'Angelos, when we look at the Ushers, when we look at the Ludacris, at everybody growing up and loving, like, low key, like, wasn't out, but was really into, like, oh, that's sexy as fuck. I want that. We weren't exposed to anything that was a little bit more, natural. I'd like to say. I don't even think it's fat. I think it's more natural. Like, all that shit is extra work.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll say, like, for me, weight size has never been an issue for me, only because I grew up watching my mom struggle with weight, and I saw how it affected her. So when it came to dating, I never really saw it's like, oh, you're fat. Like, no, like, and me personally, I like thickums. I do. Like, if you think ass, all that's great. Look, I like a little thickums. Okay, I like being able to, have to be out of breath trying to wrestle your ass in the bed. Like, that's great. Like, all that's great. But, like, I know a lot of people in the gay community may not have that same experience or empathy, but I've always empathized with people who didn't have the ideal body type. And in a weird way, I think sometimes that maybe has turned me on more so than someone that is so in the gym every day, only eating salmon and broccoli. Like,
get a meal.
Just to be fair, a lot of these people, just to be fair, since you mentioned it, a lot of these people aren't even in the gym every day or just eating salmon and broccoli. It's kind of like something that they just have in their genes, and they just are naturally thin. And sometimes I'll be like, damn, y'all got it good. You know what I'm saying? And not necessarily because I'm so concerned of, like, what others are thinking, or like, because I used to be at that, to be completely honest, I used to be on these apps like, oh my God, let me hide my face and let me hide my body because they're going to judge me. Or, even taking it way back when there was a such thing as a party line and we used to talk on the phone, I used to go as deep as deepening my voice to appear masculine. So I've done it all under the sun. But let's be clear, at this space that I'm in now, it's very important for me to show confidence and show that I am fully understanding of the person that I am. So whether you believe I'm fat or whether you believe I'm femme, it is what it is. I am who I am. And also my goal and my mission is to embrace those that, like you said, I can empathize with. And I can empathize with people that are femme, and I can empathize with people that are fat.
Yeah.
But with that being said, what you said it?
I have a quick question, or maybe it probably won't be quick, honestly, because it's kind of a loaded question. But what do we all think is the I guess the mental issues that can arise from constantly seeing in our community no fats, no femmes? And how has that, if you guys don't mind sharing, I'll share it as well. How do you feel like it has personally affected you within the gay experience?
You want to go first?
I can go first.
Yeah. First.
Also, do you think that the no films thing just kind of catapults why a lot of us used to like DL men, but that's kind of just like a
that's a whole other subject.
It ties into our other previous conversation we had on DL lifestyle. So
but for me, yes. So I felt like I had to present myself. This is obviously not a brag or anything, because it's not a brag. But as JB was saying earlier, like I'm just naturally thin. Like it's difficult for me to put on weight. So I've never mentally had to go to that's like and I at this point, obviously I sympathize and understand that that's just not everybody's journey. But like I haven't had to experience that in that realm. However, with regard to the femininity side of it, I generally in my natural state can be seen as a bit more feminine than masculine. And so it has pushed me to have to force myself constantly to present as masculine in so many different spaces. And then the second questions come up like, oh, did that come across too feminine? Like, oh, that didn't even sound natural coming out of my mouth. Like, did I say that right? Like, is this wrong? Like, so I think for me mentally, like I'm still working through having to not present as feminine. And I think a lot of people feel that way, but why is that such an issue? I'm working out of it. I am who I am at this point. I feel like listeners know who I am at this point. That's listening to us for 6 seasons. Like they know who I am, but in my day-to-day, everyday life, like with my fraternity brothers, with professional engagements, with just walking down the street to go to the store, I have to think about how I'm walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to present, because there was one day, I'll give a quick story and I'll move on and let you guys speak on your experiences. But there was one day, I don't even know if JB, you were with me. I don't know if you remember this, but me, you and Ray way back when we were walking to the store and we were just in our natural element, right? I don't think we were really just thinking of like, we're in East Oakland, we got to look macho. And then we walk into the stores and then walk to the store around the corner from my apartment. And this dude was like, what the fuck? Where are all these gay niggas coming from? And do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
I know Ray will remember that because we've talked about it, but that happened as of we started the podcast in 2018. So that was in the last 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? And so stuff like that is constantly reminding me that I can't present myself in my natural, how I want to present myself. So mentally it has affected me in that way of just constantly having to think about it.
Yeah.
But what do you guys, I mean, on either end, if it's the feminine or the, the other side.
Elias, what do you think about how's your experience been?
I've done it on both sides of the scale. I have been too fat. I've been too femme. I felt it all. However, with me being too fat, as they say, or whatever, I learned early. I just didn't give a fuck. Like, and JB can attest to this. When he first met me, I had a pot belly and was on on Instagram butt ass naked. Like, I didn't care. Like, you're not. I was the male Lizzo before Lizzo was Lizzo. Let's be real with it. Like, I didn't care. I showed off my rolls, my fat. And it's not like I had a whole bunch. And I know there are people who are way bigger and have it way worse, you know, in that terms than I do. But I knew, I was like, I don't care that you don't like that I have a stomach. I don't. Like, you either gonna fuck with me or not. My dick is good either way it goes. So you either gonna come over here and find out what this big boy can do, or you're not. Either way it goes, I'm still gonna do me and yeah, like you said, period.
No, absolutely. And were you about to? You had something else to say?
I was just gonna chime in on the fem.
Oh yeah. What about Fem? How's that affected you mentally too?
Now that I've had struggles with, but not in like it, more so in my dating life. I've had, not in like business or anything like that, but in my dating life, because me, I'll be like, I am definitely, my first attraction is to a more masculine man. Like, I'm like, if I want to date a man, I want it to be a man. If I want a woman, I'll, you know, date a woman. Like, you know, I like keeping that separate, whatever. But it happens that the masculine man that I come across, I'm either too masculine, because there'll be the hella masculine dudes that want those real femme, you know, lip gloss and all that popping, or I'm too femme for another type of masculine dude where they want someone who is just as macho or whatever as they are. So that way, when they're in the streets, you know, it can be presented a certain type of way. So like for me, when it comes to that, like that has been my issue. Not being masculine enough for the guys that I like. And then when I do come around someone who likes someone kind of soft, I'm still not soft enough. Like I am a very in between, on the fence, borderline type of person. So it's like either way I lean, like I feel like I get screwed in the love department. But when it came to like work or my personal life, my friends, you gonna take all the crazy. Some days I'm over here talking about clutch my pearls. Other day I'm like, what up, nigga? Like, it just depends. It just depends.
Listen, that's a soundbite. Let's be clear. Other days I'm clutching my pearls. The other days I'm like, what's up, nigga? Yeah, I love it. But it's crazy that you mentioned back in the day, and even a little bit still today. I feel like you calmed down a little bit today. But it's funny that you mentioned...
I've gotten lazy and old. That's really what it is. I'm lazy and old.
Listen, but I do remember, you know, back in the days when you did used to do that, like there was this one picture that completely sent me when I think it was like your birthday or something, or I don't know what it was, but I think the first one I ever seen is when you with the shower or something, you like,
that was the infinite,
you doing like that. And I was just like, to be honest with you, and Elias knows this, EliasTheFirstt knows this, to be honest with you, I was just like, why is he doing that? Like, friend, like you can't do that. Like I was really kind of like shocked and taken aback at that moment. And I realized today, being in the space that I am now and accepting you for who you are, and, you know, enjoying that you live your life and unapologetically, and you show off your body and you don't give a fuck. And I live for that. And I think that it's mostly that comes now. It's mostly because I am comfortable with who I am. So I think that's really something really important to know, is that when you're comfortable with who you are as a person in your entirety, whatever anybody else is doing just doesn't even matter at that point. So I'm happy for that growth. I will say that it is a journey for me. You know, when we're talking about mentally, how has those things that have happened throughout my life affected me mentally? It is completely a journey. I'm not completely perfect and said, oh, I don't have flashbacks. A motherfucker's calling me fat. Of course I have flashbacks. Of course I have flashbacks of like, even getting a little deeper, my dad saying I was too feminine. You know, I think we talked on this in a previous episode seasons and seasons ago, but my dad was just like, oh, don't swing your arms like that. You know what I'm saying? Or like
my dad called me a fag. Like,
listen, right?
Me and my dad got into physical fights because he thought I was gay. Like, got on the floor fighting. So that also plays a role into it too.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to say. Is I feel like those experiences from our fathers kind of affect our mental health a lot more than what we experience inside of the community, and they travel with us. Unless Devery is a strong proponent of going to therapy. He's not proponent, but he's an advocate for going to therapy and everything like that. And I think that's something that it takes to break down the trauma that has occurred throughout your life when it comes to like your parents and your family members calling you too feminine, or even some of our family members be like, you too fat, like slow down, eat it. And it's like, sis, you do realize you're the one feeding me. So, yeah, I think those things from family members and my dad and stuff have affected my mental health more than anything I could have, come into contact from an app or running into people. Yeah, it hurts. And yes, I'm like still, it makes me question, who I am, or it made me question who I am. But, I'm not going to give them that much power and say, oh, you're affecting my mental health because you're calling me fat on a website or an app that you can only see 1 or 2 or 3 pictures of me. So go off, sis. But yeah, that actually was a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You was gonna ask something that was I cut you off to ask that question. So go ahead.
Who, me?
Yeah, it seemed like you had something to ask.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I have a long list of things. This is a dope topic. We could talk for a long time. I do want to say too, while we have the time, is that I think this will be a conversation to continue having with more people and everything like that, because this is something that happens so much in our community. And like Dev brought up the mental health thing, like I'm so happy that we have been able to manage those type of feelings. I mean, those type of things towards us and feelings towards us because of just who we are, and we're here and we're thriving and we're healthy and we all look good and everything like that. But it is important to note that there's a lot of people that end up taking their life, you know what I'm saying? Because people in the community call them fat or femme. There's like people go through it. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfair and it's not right. So these conversations need to happen. I'm not saying that this specific conversation is going to have people be like, oh no, I love fat people and I love feminine people. People are still going to be ignorant, but it's important for us to continue having these conversations just so we can try to change someone's perspective when it comes to dating people that are fat or feminine. Anyways, my next question is, are there any other preferences? And I say preferences so loosely because this whole no fat, no fit thing is ridiculous. That's your preference? Okay, whatever it says. But are there any other preferences that you think are similar, I guess you could say hurt, the same type of, you feel the same type of hurt as someone saying no fats and no femmes? Do you think there are other things and preferences that people say in our community that are equally as hurtful? There we go. That are equally as hurtful as someone saying no fats and no femmes. What do you think, Elias?
Yeah, for the size queens out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, us as a Black man, we have a stereotype. We are supposed to be hung to the fucking floor. And when we are not, it becomes a problem, because there are a lot of size queens out there that make you feel inadequate because you aren't a 10-inch long. Like, that is not realistic. Like, yes, there are 10-inchers out there, and yes, like, they are beautiful to look at, play with, all that. It's great. But when that is your whole mind frame, like, if it's not a certain inch, I don't fuck with it. Like, it's like, yo, my dick touches my belly button. What you tripping for? Like, like, I'm just like, but for others, it's like, no, your dick needs to touch your chest. Like, oh, well, you know what? I can't be there. And sometimes that has swept with me, because, like, I'm not small. I'd say I'm average. But people want gigantic. Like they
People
want
are
baby
cannon.
arms. Huh?
People are Grand Canyon. Can you think of something else, Dev, that outside of the what would you say, the discriminatory acts against penis size and the shaming of penis size? Can you think of something else that is also, you know, similar to penis size and no fats, no films?
I would say for me personally, height, I guess.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Because
yes.
because people expect that people that are taller, you know, are going to be the ones that are be more dominant, and it's like, oh no, I can be dominant too. I'm 5'7", but that doesn't mean that I can't be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't rock your world. You know what I'm saying? So height is definitely another thing I think that can fall in line with that.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I'm right there with you. You know, we the same height. That shit bugs me. Oh my God. That, like, I have a thing about my height. Like I always say, I wish I was 6 foot. Like, I feel like I get more respect because you short, and that's nothing. Like, when I want to top whatever, some people will be like, "Oh, you're short," so they look at you like, "Oh, you're a bottom." Like, no, like, you know, I will.
Let's be clear.
Right.
I would climb your back, climb that tree so big, so fast, and be up there in the tree like, what? Nah. Exactly. But a few that I could think of, oh, damn, okay, come on. Actually, sidebar, what's up in that cup? What's in that cup that you drinking right now?
Right, because you over there sitting down. Oh, it's empty now.
It's empty now. I'm about to make me a little makeshift drink real quick because I don't want to leave the couch. But what I was drinking earlier, it was just tequila, lemonade, squirt, peach schnapps, and grenadine.
Okay, shout out. You having your own little drinking dish over there. I know that's right.
I am, because this is a good conversation. I'm excited. I've been waiting to be on hashtag SlickTalk for a very long time.
I appreciate that you're here. Right. So my follow-up to that, and then Dev can take the last question. I believe we'll wrap it up. But some of the I guess you can say preferences that I've noticed or that I've come across, and then, you know, people say, oh, it's just a preference, is that there's also a lot of, well, for me specifically, I only date Black men. So I have come across other Black men on the dating apps or in social media or even in person that have told me, oh, I'm sorry, I only date Latinos, or I'm sorry, I only date white men, or they may not even necessarily say it out their mouth, because in our community, to actually say that, we've looked down on, especially in the Black gay community, we've looked down on other Black men. And I'm not all of us, obviously, but a lot of us have looked down on other Black men for dating, specifically, exclusively, you know, outside of their race. And you have that right.
I judge.
Right. I fall into that category at times too. I'm still learning, because people are going to, like I said previously, people are going to do what they want to do, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And ultimately that's what matters. So I've seen people that say, oh, I only date exclusively Black guys, outside of Black guys. Or they not even say it. They just are always with other ethnicities outside of their own, each his own, whatever. Another one I've seen is people that have a preference of, dating. It's kind of deep. It's a deep preference, but I feel like there's this stigma surrounding it as well, about people that don't give people that are HIV positive a chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a huge stigma in our community as well. And that's something that is looked down, and people say, oh, it's just a preference. No matter how far we've come as a society with the medicines and everything that happened specifically in our community, I think it starts in our community with breaking that down. Everybody deserves love. Everybody deserves a chance, no matter what. Yeah, you can say that you don't want to date anyone because of specific reasons, and that's just your preference. But I feel like that preference will really be substantial and substantiated if you have some facts and knowledge that follow up with that. So as long as you know that people, and I won't go too far deep in it, but as long as you know that people that are undetectable and that are positive undetectable can't transmit it. And as long as you know that there's a pill out there called PrEP that you can take daily to protect yourself from getting it, if you say that you have that preference from not dating people, I could respect that. Other than that, I'm like, don't just say that because you think that as soon as you date someone or as soon as you lay with someone that is positive, you can get it. And the last one, I won't go too deep on that. And the last one is the preference of like, what job? What do you do? You know what I'm saying? Some people that I've run into on social media and the apps are like, I only date people that make this much, or I only date people that are social media influencers, or I only date people that went to college or whatever the case may be. It's like classism. Like It's like a thing with classism preference, if you will. So those are the three that I've noticed and that I've tried to like break down personally. And my judgments towards, interacting with people. I'm not on the dating scene anymore, but just in general, when I'm looking at people now, I just try to look at them in a different light. Cause like I just said, everybody, no matter what you are going through, everybody deserves love. And as long as you can back up your specific preference on, why you have that preference or, why you feel that way, then to each his own. But don't just be out there and be like, oh, well, I don't like this and I don't like this because da-da-da-da-da.
As long as if it's rooted in understanding, right? Rooted in understanding and love and pure just like that. I don't prefer that because of a substantial reason. You know what I'm saying? Like all the examples that we spoke on, like I personally don't think any of those reasons why someone shouldn't be, dated. But like, if you can give me a good reason as to why you feel that way, like for the no fats, like, oh, I want someone that's healthy. Okay, I get that. Like if you're
people are healthy. So.
Well, no, if you're on my 600-pound life now.
Not that, but I'm like Elias said, we're considered fat and we're both healthy. So
no, absolutely, and that's the thing. So then from there, there's other. So what do you consider healthy then? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it an aesthetic, or is it someone is genuinely not healthy because you feel like they got a little meat on their bones? Listen, we gotta expand our minds, y'all. When I tell you I've had the best sex with people that are thicker, that may be a bit more comfortable in their femininity.
Listen.
When they are not hung as a fucking horse. It's just like, I've had so many great experiences with these different types of people that we have been taught that it's what we shouldn't like. Like we really, I've already feel like I've gotten to that point, but we all just got to get to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a journey. Any closing remarks, Elias? What else do you have? What you got?
I just say on your, like I say, your black folks not dating outside of their race, man. And it's funny, like y'all had y'all conspiracy thing episode the other week, but I have a conspiracy about Black gay entertainers and dating outside the race, and so that just all like clicked in my real quick. Because I have a conspiracy about why all these Black gay entertainers only date outside their race.
Yeah.
And that bothers me like a lot. So I am definitely one of those people that like when I see a fellow Black person dating outside their race, I am questioning them down. And I have friends. This is gonna sound so white of me, but I have friends who are dating outside their race. You know?
Yeah. No,
but
absolutely.
And I have dated outside my race. So
I've only screwed outside my race. I've never dated.
Oh. Yeah, I think the best takeaway though, I remember, some of the guys that Dev the Coolest has dated outside of his race and outside of his race or our race, and they've been super duper cool. But I think, because I know that Dev has given not everybody, but he's given all different types of ethnicities and races a chance, I can respect him being like, okay, well, at this point, I don't feel like niggas are shit. So let me go ahead and try this, or even just coming across somebody that is cool that just happens to be white, And
I will never say that though. I will never say niggas ain't shit.
Okay.
I will. But I still
a lot of people will say.
I will say it in a minute. Niggas ain't shit, but I still love them. I still fuck with them heavy. But I will say it in a minute.
Listen, niggas know niggas ain't shit. But
okay.
But I mean, just like you said, we still love them.
Maybe I should say all niggas ain't shit. That's
all niggas. No, absolutely. No, my nigga is the shit. Let's be clear.
Right. Okay? My black man, baby.
Okay. But yeah, anybody else got anything else to say? Last and closing remarks?
Confidence. Have confidence in yourself. Like love.
Yeah, what would you tell someone?
Starts. That's the
this is where we can end. What would you tell someone, since we started the show off with no fats, no femme, what would you tell someone that is fat, or is bigger and that is feminine? What advice would you tell them, Dev? And then I'll go to Elias first.
Love yourself unapologetically, like in every way, shape, or form. Like you are who you are. This is your presence on this earth. You have to love yourself before you expect anyone to love you, but don't do it because you want someone else to love you. Like love yourself 100% authentically. You're the only you that will ever grace this earth, ever. I've said this in the past. Love yourself from top to bottom, child. And everything will be good. Fuck the people that say no faster films, because they got some shit they got to work through. So,
period.
Yeah, that's it.
What about you, Elias?
I'm gonna tell everyone my motto: if they ain't paying your bills, fuck them. And that has been something I've had to say to myself through my years of stuff. Like, at the end of the day, the only opinion that really matters is your own.
Yeah.
And so if someone doesn't like you because you're too fat, you're too femme, you don't make enough money, your dick isn't big enough, whatever, fuck them, because they are not paying your bills. The only people that should have an opinion on your life and the way you look and your value should be yourself. They are not paying your bills. They do not get a fucking opinion. And yes, that includes your family members, your parents, your friends, all of that. It doesn't matter who it is. They ain't paying your bills. You shouldn't give a fuck what they think or what they say. You need to focus on you and care and worry about what you think about yourself at the end of the day.
Yes, God. Well, I echo both of you guys' sentiments. Whatever both of you guys said, I echo that completely. And what I would say in addition to that is that I do know with that, yes, love yourself. I do know at times it's hard to love yourself when you're going through that, when you're a big dude and you're getting all this feedback and you're on these apps and social media and nobody's saying, oh, you look bomb or you're pretty or you're handsome. It's hard to work up the courage and the nerve to actually love yourself. Or the same thing goes for femininity. When somebody's calling you faggot or when somebody's calling you super gay or not liking you because you act a certain type of way, it takes a lot to say, well, okay, I'm enough. I love myself. So I personally would say, in addition to loving yourself, is that just disassociate from all that nonsense. Take a step back, delete the apps, surround yourself around people that love you and see you for who you are deep past what your exterior looks like, or even what your exterior looks like. Surround yourself with people that love and support you and that look at you and that, love you unconditionally, everything like that. I think that's a real big step for a lot of us. We're so accessible nowadays, what I'm saying, with social media and posting ourselves constantly. That's why I also have taken a step back from posting myself a lot on social media. I don't know if you guys have both seen, but I haven't posted to my actual page in like over 2 years now. And it's not, let's be clear, and I want to say this, it's not because I'm ashamed of the way I look, because if I didn't appreciate the way I looked right now and I've gotten to this moment, we wouldn't be doing this live shit right now. So let's be clear. It's because I personally feel I'm going to get back to doing it. But at this moment, I had to take a step back because I felt like social media was just too judgmental. The people on social media was too judgmental and looking at me and looking at me in one specific way and believing that everything was grand because I just appeared to be one way. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing that no matter the way you look like, everybody can still have issues. I don't care if you're thin with a 6-pack and you look like you got it going all on. They can have issues as well and be going through things. So let's be clear. So anyways, that's all I will say. Go ahead and close out this.
Very good. Well, this was, as JB always says, this was a dope conversation. I really enjoyed this conversation though. Like this, we can go on and on and on about this. Oh, I love it. But Elias, before we go, can you tell the listeners where they can find you, where they can find your show and everything else?
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at EliasTheFirstt, and that is the first with 2 T's at the end. The show is called Drink and Dish. You can also go on YouTube and Google that. So yeah, follow me on my stuff. Like, share, and subscribe my YouTube channel. It's a good time over there. I get people drunk and we get to talk, have conversations like this, but we're drunk doing it.
Right.
It's funny watching your shows from the beginning to the end and be like, ooh, they at the end of it, everybody like, oh shit.
Right.
We taking another shot? God damn. But hey, it's a good time. It's a good time from beginning to end. So Elias, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Elias. I appreciate you, friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me. You know, I was gonna bug you till I finally got on this damn show.
It wasn't a bug. We wanted you on here.
Yes, for a minute. For a minute.
Yeah, like y'all, you guys are definitely like such an inspiration to me and the stuff I have going on over here. I just want to like give y'all your flowers, you know, your roses, you know, while I'm here, because watching from season 1 to season 4 now?
Season 6.
I'm tipsy, don't judge me. But you know, I listen to every episode. Like, I have not missed one episode.
No, we know.
Shit is bomb. Like, I love it. You guys are great, and the topics and the things that you guys talk about, it's important. It's stuff that needs to be said. These are conversations that need to be had, whether it's something like this or even something as light as the astrological, you know, episode you all had. Like all of it, from the easy shit to the hard shit. Like, all of these conversations need to be had, and they need to be had by us, by our people, and you guys are doing a great job. And I just, you know, hats off to you all.
Thank you so much.
See, let me get off, because he been rocking with us since day one, y'all. Since day one.
Look, JB told me y'all were having a podcast before y'all were supposed to tell people y'all had a podcast. And I was over here like, when is it happening? Like, I'm ready.
Here we are, damn near 3 years in. But thank y'all so much for tuning in, listening to this episode. Please comment. Let us know your thoughts or anything you want to add to the conversation, anything that you feel like we've missed. Just join in the conversation. We love y'all so much. We'll see y'all next week. And JB will have his segment next week for sure.
I will. We'll be back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Pushing a lot of traffic to YouTube. But yeah, thank you guys so much.
Peace out.